your face?
Okay.
Here we go. Obedience is listening attentively. Obedience will take instructions joyfully. Obedience heeds wishes of authorities. And obedience will follow orders instantly.
Sounds great. The next part is, for when I am busy at my work or play.
Oh, like you're shooting some basketball, huh?
Absolutely.
For when I am busy. For when I am busy at my work or play.
And someone calls my name, I'll answer right away.
Okay. And someone calls my name, I'll answer right away. So when mom or dad says, hey, come in for supper, or come in and clean your room, you don't pretend like you didn't hear them.
You obey and you answer right away.
So let's do it from when I am busy at my work or play.
For when I am busy at my work or play, and someone calls my name, I'll answer right away. I'll be ready with a smile to go the extra mile.
Oh, with a big smile, all right? I'll be ready with a smile to go the extra mile. Because the extra mile, you see, way back when, people used to make people, soldiers in an army could enlist people to go and carry their pack for a mile, right?
Right.
But some people would go an extra mile.
Beyond the bare minimum of what was required.
So when we obey, we need to do even more than what we're expected.
So if our mom asks us to make our bed, we can make our bed. We can sweep underneath things, and we can vacuum, and we can organize our closet.
That's right. Clean the whole house even.
Hey, that'd be going the extra mile.
Or 2 or 3.
That'd
okay.
be super.
Let's do it for, I'll be ready with a smile.
Okay.
I'll be ready with a smile to go the extra mile.
As soon as I can say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Hop, 2, 3. Then we clap.
We clap. All right, we can do
Because
that.
we have to say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, because we have to be respectful to our authorities.
All right, so as soon as I can say.
As soon as I can say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
Hop, 2, 3.
Excellent. And that is a song.
And then we go back to the beginning.
Then, after we sing it one time through, it goes back to the beginning.
All right, I think we're ready to do the whole thing. From the top, obedience is listening. Obedience is listening attentively. Obedience will take instructions joyfully. Obedience heeds wishes of authorities. And obedience will follow orders instantly. For when I am busy at my work or play, and someone calls my name, I'll answer right away. I'll be ready with a smile to go the extra mile. As soon as I can say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, here we
From the
go.
beginning, obedience. Obedience is listening attentively. Obedience will take instructions joyfully. Obedience heeds wishes of authorities. And obedience will follow orders instantly. 1, 2, 3. Miss Rebecca, that was outstanding, wasn't it?
It sure was.
That was outstanding. That's right. Miss Rebecca?
Yes, sir.
That was a fun song. How we can be obedient by listening attentively. And when we're called to do something, do it right away like that.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what?
What's that?
That reminds me of what we learned last time about our silent hand commands.
That's right, the 1, 2, and 3.
Not only does it have to do with attentiveness, because you have to be attentive looking up here, but you also have to be obedient, instantly obedient, or else none of it works.
That's true. So it's really attentiveness and obedience.
Maybe we could try it.
Really?
I'd like to, would you?
I sure would.
Okay, well, let's start with one finger. Now, everyone slouch. The slouchiest slouch you've ever slouched before in your life. Oh, that looks terrible.
That looks really
now, if you're being attentive and obedient, when I simply go like...
All right.
How about it? Give your
good.
neighbor a hand.
Way to be obedient.
All right, so one finger means to sit up or stand up straight. Now, 2 fingers.
Oh, this is the fun one.
This is everyone on the count of 3 is going to chatter, the chatteriest chatter you've ever chattered before in your life. All right?
Sounds like a good plan.
On the count of 3. But when I hold up 2 fingers, it should be dead silent. All right? So then, 1, 2, 3. Pay attention. Wow! Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Give your neighbor a round of applause.
Excellent.
I am impressed, Miss Rebecca,
So am I.
how attentive and obedient they are.
They have been learning and practicing what they've been learning.
What a difference. Well, let's see. The last one is 3 fingers, and 3 fingers means to smile. Oh, we never said what 2 fingers means, though.
Oh.
2 fingers means to
Stop talking.
It also means to
Stop laughing.
It also means to
Stop wiggling.
But whatever you do,
Don't stop breathing.
Now then, 3 fingers means to smile. So everyone frown. You're frowning, Now be attentive and obedient, because when I go like... Look at those bright,
It's always
smiling
more fun to smile.
faces. Give your neighbor a round of applause.
All right.
All right, well, that was our silent hand commands.
Yes,
and
sir.
Can I teach you the memory work now?
Yes, I'd love to learn it.
This is a fun one, too. Now, we got to start by sitting up straight. We already
Okay.
talked about that. And it goes like this. I'll obey with no excuses. I will do it right away.
That's
All
right.
Don't wait around, but do it right away.
All
so I'll
right.
obey with no excuses.
I'll obey with no excuses.
I will do it right away. I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. All right, so you
Wow.
got to draw a real big smile.
Okay.
I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. Let's do it from the beginning. I'll obey with no excuses. I'll obey with no excuses. I will do it right away. I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet.
All right.
I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet. I will never speak a grumbling word to show that I'm upset.
We wouldn't do that.
No, you don't grumble and complain, but you have a cheerful attitude
That's
about
right.
it.
You aren't
all right?
disrespectful
I
either.
will never speak.
I will never speak a grumbling word to show if I'm upset.
And then why don't we do it from the part about I'll make the effort gladly at any time of day,
we
all
can
right?
do that.
I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet. I will never speak a grumbling word to show that I'm upset. I think we all know the rest by now. Commitments are important steps to guard us from disaster. And just to show we know them well, let's say them even faster.
Mr. Robert, that last part, commitments are important steps to guard us from disaster, that is so true.
And it's the same as we said last time.
And you know what? It's not just last week or last time. It's not just this time, but it's every time. For all the character qualities we learned at the end of the memory work.
Because commitments really are important steps to guard us from disaster and keep us going the right direction.
That's right. Maybe we could do it from the top.
Very beginning?
Very beginning.
All right, I'll obey with no excuses.
Are
Here
you
we go.
ready?
Are you ready?
Oh, I don't know.
Are you sure you're ready? That's a little more convincing.
Okay.
Here we go. I'll obey. I'll obey with no excuses. I will do it right away. I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet. I will never speak a grumbling word to show that I'm upset. Commitments are important steps to guard us from disaster, and just to show we know them well, let's say them even faster. I'll obey with no excuses. I will do it right away. I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet. I will never speak a grumbling word to show that I'm upset.
Commitments are important steps to guard us from disaster. And just to show we know them well, let's say them even faster.
One more time. I'll obey with no excuses. I will do it right away. I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet, I will never speak a grumbling word to show that I'm upset. Commitments are important steps to guard us from disaster. And just to show we know them well, let's say them even faster.
Robert, I think they can do it even faster.
Faster?
Faster.
Do you think you can do it faster?
Yeah! Let's do it one more time.
One more time, even faster. Here we go. I'll obey with no excuses. I will do it right away. I will make the effort gladly at any time of day. I will do the work until it's done, and even further yet, I will never speak a grumbling word to show that I'm upset. Commitments are important steps to guard us from disaster. And just to show we know them well, let's say them even faster. Now give your neighbor a hand.
That was terrific, Miss Robert.
Well, Miss Rebecca, that is an important lesson, that we obey right away without waiting around a bit.
Absolutely.
With a cheerful attitude, too. Can I show you what I have in my bag?
Well, sure. I'd love to see.
All right. Let's see. I have a couple things in here. Now, we learned about different ways we can be obedient, and these are reminders of how we can be obedient.
Oh, so like when we think of these things, it'll help us remember the certain ways we can be obedient.
Precisely, Miss Rebecca. Now, first of all,
I like this.
we have to be totally and completely obedient, right? We don't, if our mom asks us to make our bed, we just don't, throw the sheets over and walk away. No, you make the whole thing.
That's
you do
right.
everything you're expected to do. And that's why I brought here some total cereal, okay?
Miss Robert, is it breakfast time?
Well, it could be if you're really hungry, but total cereal, it reminds us to be totally and completely obedient, okay?
Not just half the way, but
So
all
if you're
the way.
going through the grocery store and you see some of this stuff on the shelf, or next time you eat some total cereal, you remember that you have to be obedient totally. All right? Here you go, Mr. Rob, in case you missed your breakfast.
All right.
You can hang on to that. I have another one, Miss Rebecca.
What's that?
You talked about how important it is that we are obedient instantly.
Of course.
You remember? Because obedience isn't true obedience unless it's instant obedience.
That's when I have to remember.
Well, I brought here, Miss Rebecca, I have some Jell-O instant pudding.
Boy, it's dessert time too.
Well, it could be, because this reminds us that we have to be obedient instantly. Not waiting around, but obey right away. So the next time you have some pudding or you see some of this on a shelf, you remember to be obedient instantly. There's some for you, Mr. Rob, you can hang on to. All right. Ah ha ha ha. I've got one here, Miss Rebecca. Now then, we don't want to grumble or complain, right?
Well, no.
No.
That wouldn't be total obedience.
It wouldn't. We got to have a good attitude and not complain about different things. And so I was trying to find something that stops squeaks like that. All right? Stops
So
that
like
kind of thing.
squeaking is complaining and murmuring?
Yeah, kind of like that. It works well because I have some WD-40.
WD-40.
All right? And at the very top here it says WD-40. It stops squeaks. So we can remember anytime you hear a squeaky door hinge, or the next time you see some of this WD-40, you remember that when we're obedient, we can't grumble and complain, but we have to stop those squeaks, okay? In case you find some squeaky door hinges, Mr. Rob.
I know where some are.
All right. Well, let's see. Here's another one. You know, we talked about going the extra mile.
Yes.
And how important it is that we don't do just the bare minimum and try and slide through, but we go even beyond what our moms or dads or teachers want us to do.
That's right.
And do it thoroughly.
That's
and
being all
so
we can be.
I brought not just regular strength Tylenol, but I brought some extra strength Tylenol, okay? Not just regular, not just the bare minimum, but the extra strength. So when you see this on the shelf or somewhere, you remember that we're obedient. We have to go the extra mile. All right, Mr. Rob? You can put that in your medicine chest or something. And finally, Miss Rebecca, finally, we talked about our attitude. And attitude makes a big difference when it comes to obedience.
Sure does.
And when we're obedient, we don't have a bad attitude. No, you have to have a good attitude with a cheerful attitude. In fact, that's why I brought some cheer. Some cheer laundry detergent. So the next time you're helping your mother do the laundry, all right? The next time you're folding clothes and you smell the sweet detergent, or the next time you see some of this, you remember that we have an attitude. When we obey, we have to have a cheerful attitude. In case you need to do some laundry, Mr. Rob, we'd all appreciate it. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's
Especially
see.
your socks.
That is obedience, Miss Rebecca.
Well, those are some good reminders. When I see those things, I'm going to be reminded of how to be obedient.
All right. Well, you know what?
What's that?
It's time for another story.
A story? You know what? I think I know what the story might be about.
You do?
I do, but I won't say because I want it to be a surprise.
Good. I'd like for it to be a surprise, too.
But I sure would like to see it, if I may.
Well, I'd like to. Why don't we say thank you to Miss Rebecca
you.
and Mr. Rob. You ready? Thank you, Miss Rebecca and Mr. Rob. Heavy wheels rolled along the dusty road. Clouds of dust billowed into the air behind this train of wagons. The children that were in the village, the children began to hear things, noises like they have never heard before. They were wondering what this was. What in those wagons that they could see in the distance with all these clouds of smoke or of dust rising in the air, what was coming? Well, the children, they gathered together and they came to the edge of town and they looked out from their village and the wagon train kept getting closer and closer, and then they saw that the circus was coming to town. They were so excited. It wasn't very often that they'd have a circus come to town. And they watched as the wagon trains pulled through the streets. And the parade of all the circus animals, they saw lions and tigers and zebras and giraffes and bears and elephants. Huge, magnificent elephants. Well, they saw the ringmasters and the acrobats as they went by. Oh, they were so excited. They could hardly wait for the night to come when the tent would be set. And they'd hear the voice of the ringmaster say, "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the circus is about to begin." Oh, they could hardly wait. And so they followed the circus train. It went through town, and at the very edge, beside this river, there was this huge stretch of grass. This enormous field, and the circus workers began to unload their wagons. And in doing so, they pulled out this red and white tent. All the children were watching this, and the circus workers began to unfold the tent. They began to stretch it across that field, and they unfolded it, and unfolded it, and unfolded it, and unfolded it, and unfolded and unfolded and unfolded it. It was enormous. It covered nearly the entire field. But the children were wondering, how were they going to get that tent all the way up in the air? They couldn't put the whole town full of kids and parents inside this big flat tent. They were wondering how this was going to happen. And then they saw him. They saw a young man, not much older than some of you here, a young boy that walked out from the busy circus workers, and he was looking at that tent. He folded his arms and kind of studied the situation, and then without saying a word, he turned around and walked back into the crowd of circus workers. Well, the children were wondering, what was this little boy up to? How was he going to be of any help to get that huge tent in the air? They were thinking and they were talking among themselves when all of a sudden they saw the boy return. But this time, walking beside him every step of the way was an enormous, huge, magnificent Indian elephant. This elephant was huge. It was gigantic. It was so big next to that little boy, it made him look like a 3-year-old. And so that little boy was walking beside this huge elephant. Well, the two of them walked together. And wherever that boy went, that elephant went right beside him. Now, we need an elephant. I need some volunteers to come up here and be an elephant like Mr. Micah and Mr. Levi. Would you give me a hand? All right, let's give them a big welcome. All right, Mr. Levi, Mr. Micah. Now, you're going to be my elephants here, or the elephant. Now, to do so, you need to face this way, all right? And you need to stand right here and bend over, all right? And grab him right there, all right? Now then, an elephant needs to look more like an elephant. So we have here some elephant skin, all right? We have the skin of our elephant, and we're going to stretch this right over you like so, all right? There we go. This is looking more like an elephant. A little more like an elephant anyway. Okay, we got our elephant skin, but you know one thing about elephants is they have really big ears, right? So our elephant needs some ears. So we've got some elephant ears here. All right, we're going to stick your elephant ears on. There we go. And we'll stick them on like that. All right. Now show everyone. There we go. Now show everyone your elephant ears. Okay. We got the elephant ears. We got the elephant skin. But there's something else we need. You need an elephant trunk, right? So then, you hang on to that for a second. We need an elephant trunk. All right. Here is our elephant's trunk. Just like so. All right, there we go. So we've got an elephant that has skin with ears with an elephant's trunk. And there's one more thing, though. You see, the elephant also needs a tail. We need a tail on our elephant. So we're just going to pop this tail right on there. Okay. Our elephant's alive now. Now then, we've got an elephant with ears, with a trunk, with a skin, and we're going to get a little more tape here for our elephant ears. All right, so that they stay put. Yeah, all right. There you go, Mr. Elephant. Okay, now as I was saying, that little boy, wherever he walked, that elephant walked right beside him. And so as he walked, the elephant walked. When the boy stopped, the elephant stopped, because this was an obedient elephant. And it obeyed right away and never hesitated. So wherever that little boy went, his elephant followed right behind him. All the place, all over he would walk. And then he'd stop. So he'd stop, and the elephant would stand there. Now, when they were in the right position, the young man, they carried out this huge leather harness. This enormous harness that they wrapped around this elephant's body. They wrapped around the body, and then, at the end, they attached this big, thick rope. This huge rope that went out and down and underneath that big tent. You see, at the bottom of that rope was the biggest, tallest tent pole that carried the most weight of the entire tent. And that elephant was going to raise up that tent pole and raise the circus tent. So, when everything was set, he made sure everything was just right. And then he whispered into his elephant's ear just one little word. All he said was, pull. And instantly, that elephant began to pull. He began to heave and hoe and strain with all of its energy. It began to pull on the weight of that tent. Well, the tent pole got taller and taller and taller. All the weight was waiting. It was heavy on that tent pole. Oh, that elephant kept pulling. It never hesitated, but it kept taking step after step until that little boy saw that the tent pole was right, and he said, stop. And the elephant stopped. The elephant never hesitated. You see, if that elephant had just taken one more step, that tent pole could have fallen completely over backwards, injuring all the circus workers who risked their lives every time they pitched the big top. But that elephant was obedient, and it obeyed instantly, never hesitating. And so the tent pole was straight up and down, and the circus workers ran around, driving the stakes and tying off the tent so that it was all stable and secure. And when everything was set, the little boy walked up to his elephant, and he simply said, "Back." And the elephant began to back up. It took a step backwards, and